Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Rachel with Artisans of Nations, a storytelling platform dedicated to elevating Indigenous voices through arts and culture. We're here filming live artist talks at the 5th Annual Msvkoke Art Market in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're so grateful to produce these artist talks in partnership with the Muscogee Nation. And for our next guest, I'd like to welcome Sandy Fife-Wilson. She's a Muscogee Nation artist, art educator, and fashion designer from Morris, Oklahoma, who has spent over 5 decades at the intersection of traditional Southeastern Indigenous art and contemporary expression. Sandy is part of the legendary Fife family. She has co-founded the Fife Collection alongside her sisters, which is a groundbreaking Indigenous fashion line rooted in Muskogee arts and traditional technique. Named a master artist by the Five Civilized Tribes Museum, her work spans creek basketry, finger weaving, and shell carving. She has brought every one of these traditions into her classroom and community for generations. Welcome, Sandy. Thank you so much for being here. It's such an honor to have you as part of this conversation. How's the market for you? Tell us a little bit how this weekend has been.
This weekend has been pretty good. It's great. I entered 2 pieces and won awards on both. And I've sold a few pieces too, quite a few pieces. So it's gone pretty well.
Oh, congratulations.
And I've seen a lot of friends and met new people.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm sure, yeah, it always kind of feels like a little bit of a reunion, huh, at these markets?
Oh, yeah. It's always nice, even when you go off someplace, you see some of the same artists and, you know, meet new people.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, tell us, I'm so curious, and I'm sure our listeners are as well, of how did you start from your childhood? I know you come from a great legendary family, so tell us a little bit about your childhood as an artist.
Well, our parents always supported us in the arts. Our dad worked in Tulsa, and he would bring home colored chalks, pencils all the time, erasers, paper. Sometimes we'd draw on paper that had writing on the back, you know, old petroleum ledgers, manuals, different things like that. Or he brought home a lot of materials that we could work with. And our mom, when she got out of high school, she went to Santa Fe, to the Santa Fe Indian School, and was there for a year with Indian arts and crafts teacher training. And so she learned a lot of different techniques, besides painting, and which she already did painting or drawing, and she did pottery, weaving, finger weaving, carving, sculpture, all kinds of different techniques so that she could teach them to the students. And then growing up, so we always had art around us at home, Indian art. And she taught us how to go down to the back pasture and dig up the black clay, and I put it in a crock and strained it and let it set and strained it, get all the weeds and rocks out and everything, prepare it. Got it all prepared. She said, today it ought to be good enough for you could make something. Went out there, and my little brothers had poured it out in the grass, so I scraped up what I could, and I don't know whether I didn't know I made a pot, but I don't know whatever happened to it. We probably played with it and broke it. But then when I was about 10, she taught me the basics of finger weaving. And just this winter, my granddaughter Lillian was at the house, and she said, what are you doing and how are you doing that? And I said, finger weaving. And she said, well, how do you do it? And I said, well, sit down here. And she got on my lap, and I showed her how to hold the strings and the yarn. And she just picked it up right away, and pretty soon she was weaving, and she wove a couple of inches. She said, okay, I'm going to go play. But, just things like that. They're always interested. My oldest sister, well, she always drew. Everybody did. Mama taught us so much when we were little. I mean, let us do things that a lot of students, a lot of children wouldn't get to do. When my sister was in school, college, she went to Arizona to, now I can't remember what it's called, but one of the foundations, and they did a pilot program for the Institute of American Indian Arts.
Oh, nice.
And she was involved in that, I think 1 or 2 summers, and working with Lloyd New and Charles Lolema and Audley Lolema and some others. And then when they opened the school, my next oldest sister, Phyllis, enrolled out there. She went to school out there. She was a sophomore in high school. And so 3 years later, when I got in the 10th grade, I went out there.
Wow.
And I studied mainly painting, printmaking, and traditional techniques. And we all had Indian studies and, you know, just to learn about the natives all across the nation.
Mm-hmm.
And we learned so much, and with the students being from all over the United States, we got to learn from them and did so many different activities and everything that, you know, was just a great education.
Yeah, what a remarkable childhood and journey you've been on as a young person until now. I'm so curious, you know, looking back as your younger self, what has surprised you the most, or maybe has given you maybe the most fulfillment in your life? What would that be?
When I was in high school, I worked with Josephine Wapp in traditional techniques, and my art has traveled different places. I had a print, when I was printmaking, I had a print go to the Fiji Islands, the embassy there. I have a print and a sash at the National Museum of the American Indian.
Wow.
And I have got to go a lot of different places. When the year I graduated, some of the former students had organized a trip for about 15 students or former students from IAIA to go to this art festival, art and music festival in New York. And they called me and asked me if I wanted to go. And I said, okay. They said, we'll pay your way up there and back and get you a place to stay, you know, everything's paid for. You won't have to worry about anything. So I said, okay. So my sister and I went, and we ended up at Woodstock.
Oh, nice.
And that's what it was, 3 days of art, music.
Oh, fun.
And the art was canceled out by the rain.
Oh.
So you never saw the teepees that were up in the back on top of the hill where we stayed. And it rained so much we didn't get our art out of the boxes at all.
Oh, bummer.
And so we just got a free concert.
Oh, that's so fun.
And it was a lot of fun, and it was something different. And I don't know, that was such a calm place.
Mm-hmm.
It was something different from anything, you know. It was just peaceful.
Mm.
There was a lot going on, but it was peaceful.
Mm.
And we enjoyed that. My older sister went with me. She said, you'll get lost. So she went with me, and I probably would have.
Oh.
But we went there, and since college, I went to Northeastern State University in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and got my bachelor's degree in art education. And I worked with my sisters. We would travel to trades fairs, which are like the art market, and, you know, go all weekend. Sometimes we'd go to Oklahoma City on a Saturday morning, go to the art market all day, go back home, 2 hours back to Dustin, and then the next morning go back up there and spend the whole day and then come back. And it was just something we did. My sister Jimmy Carroll would show her art, and I'd show weaving or whatever we did. But we'd been doing this, seemed like all our lives.
Wow.
And we're still doing it. There are 4 of us here with booths.
Who are your sisters, just in case our audience aren't familiar?
Jimmy Carroll, Fife Stewart. She does more traditional paintings, and she does quilt making, handwork, and a lot of whimsical little things in her paintings, and a lot of history. She won the Historical Heritage Award this year here for her painting about hickory ground. And my other sister, Phyllis Fife, Dr. Phyllis Fife, and she does painting, more contemporary, expressive, and fashion. And Robin Fife Jenkins, she does beadwork. She has a lot of beadwork, but she does beautiful bandolier bags, beaded bandolier bags. And so we're all 4 right there on the first corner when you come in the door.
I'd like you to share with us about the specific techniques and art mediums that you do. Can you walk us through the process of your finger weaving and what draws you to the specific medium?
Okay, this finger weaving is a type of braiding, but you use your fingers. It's weaving. You use your fingers to separate the yarns into a shed, like one up, one down, one up, one down, all the way across. And then you take the outside, or one, depending on your design, take a yarn and put it through the middle, and then you have to take the top threads down, the bottom up, down, up, all the way across to where you're going. And in a lot of them, some of them, you have to just go so far and twist the threads so to change colors, such as in this second one.
Okay.
With that, you go so far, switch threads, and just change so that your thread goes, like I'm going from the middle, go this way. The blue goes over here, and it switches with the pink, and the pink goes through, and you drop the pink and pick up the blue and go on across. But and then to keep the tension straight, you turn it over and do it so that your tension's the same. Because sometimes I can weave both ways, but on something that's as complicated as this, my tension might be off a little bit, and it might be kind of a wider pattern on one side than it is on the other side. But on here, you just go across to here and across to there.
Oh, okay. And do you do this on a loom?
No, you just use your fingers.
Okay. Wow.
What I do is I tie it to a chair, something, and then I just set on the end and have it separated and work with my fingers. And as you go down, as you work with it, it back weaves on the bottom.
I see.
Pull the thread through here, through the middle, then it goes the opposite direction. And you have to stop, and when it gets where you can't weave anymore, you just stop and pull those out, straighten them out again, and keep on going. But, you can actually do this anywhere in the car. I made one on the way to San Antonio, tied it on the back of the headrest and worked that way.
That's great.
That's the way I was taught by Josephine Wapp, to tie it on something and then tie it to your chair or sit on it. And that way you keep it taut and don't have any problems.
And where's the fibers sourced from?
These I bought, these are wool fibers, wool yarn, and they're all the same weight and everything. And I picked out these colors, and so when I started to do the wall hanging, I said I was going to use the same colors. They're about, I think, 7 colors or something. Use the same ones all the way across. And on this one, it's a wall hanging, so I wove them all connecting at the top here. Like this is connected to that, all the way down to about a foot down. And then I split them, so they'd be more like the sashes.
Oh, beautiful.
And these represent the patterns that were used in the past by the leaders and the people. You might see them in old pictures or something. This is a chevron. This is, I'm not sure what this is. I call it Sister Harjo, but I'm not sure. And double diamond, Obithliohola, a variation of Obithliohola's sash that he wore, and the triple chevron.
That's wonderful.
And also on the bottoms, like these, on the bottom of this, I braided the fringe. This I let loose. This one, a lot of mine, I will weave on down, split it and weave it, and then just tie the bottom. And this one is twisted.
Oh, I see.
The fringes are twisted.
That's cool.
It's a lot faster. It's faster than the braiding. The braiding takes a long time. And another thing.
Can talk about your sashes.
Yeah. The sashes, this is that same pattern, but I have beads on the threads.
Wonderful.
And you have to know which thread you're going to, is going to hold the beads for your design. And so you just have to wax the end of the yarn and thread them on one at a time.
Wow.
And then as I need them, I push them up.
Do you want to talk about the finger weaving piece behind you and what that represents?
You know, early in our Fife Collection, well, before the Fife Collection started, my sister Phyllis went to OU and she would make extra money making halter tops with designs appliqued on them or Seminole patchwork. And it seemed like we always had halter tops on some of our fashions in the Fife Collection. And I just decided I would try that. I made the cords.
Wow.
I used jersey knit, cut it about an inch and a quarter. I think it was an inch. Cut it, then I wrapped it around a pipe, a plastic pipe or wooden stick, and then tied it down with strings or rubber bands, and then dyed it with shibori dye. And
beautiful. That's
more color fast. And so if you look closely at a lot of the fringes, you can see the difference in the colors, and you can see lines in there where they were tied down.
Wow.
And then after they were dried, I pulled them to make the cords.
Beautiful.
And so I started out under the button with just a few cords, and then as I went around, I added more. And then as I was close to running out, I might just leave them and add some more. So I made it wider. And then when I got down here, I just stopped. But you can see that they're just in different places. And then I made the skirt.
Oh, wow.
It's also finger woven.
Wow.
And with that, I started at the waist, or the hips there. I started with the cord around and tied my yarn all the way around, the cords all the way around, and then wove it.
That is absolutely stunning. What inspired you about this specific style or of the halter? I know it started with your sister, but even just letting it drape.
Kind of like waterfall. Just kind of like a waterfall, because it's the colors, the rippling of the dye job, and when it was in the fashion show, it looked real good because it just kind of flowed around.
Yeah, it was stunning.
And the button it's actually snapped on, but the button is a mother of pearl button, and I carved a design in it. It's more of a snake or serpent design on it.
I'd love for you to share more about your shell carving, speaking of that button and the design. Tell us more about your process and techniques for these shell carving and why they are so meaningful for you.
I learned how to do shell carving in 2007 from Dan Townsend of his Creek from Florida. And he came to OSU, Oklahoma State University Institute of Technology, and did a workshop along with the Creek Nation. And he did a 2-week workshop with, I think there were 20 students, and with shell carving. And it happened to be after school was out, so I got to do it because I was teaching then. And he went over a lot of the processes and, preparing the shells, where to get your shells, and a lot of the meanings that were related to the different shell work. And this is it's a dipper.
Wow.
It's that a long time ago during the ceremonies, they would use the dipper to drink this drink. But on here, I put there's some serpentine designs at the top that I added.
Right.
And then the pattern is 2 men with looks like a kettle of some kind with a fire in it, and the fire that they carried with them. And these fires from the ceremonial grounds, they never let them go out. The coals, they never let them go out. And a lot of the clothing, or you might see sash on there, or different head ornaments, moccasins, different patterns. And I used all Southeastern Mississippian style patterns on these too. And when I was in high school doing printmaking, I loved doing etching. And so I guess that carried me through to this, because I use a Dremel with a really tiny bit and a inverted cone bit, and I make lines to show color, the values, outlines, textures, patterns. And also when I finished with the carving part, I went over it with oil pigment, like oil paint. I used a brown on this, and I covered it, and then I wiped it.
Nice.
And he used, I don't even know what he used now, some papers, but I found that coffee filters work really good.
Great.
Because they
Great
don't
advice.
soak up the paint from inside the lines. So the pigment stays in the lines, and you get the different values. And to make the real highlights, since I love figure drawing also, to get the highlights on there, like on the shoulders or tops of the arm, different places, use an eraser and erase more of the paint off.
We interviewed Harry Beaver, who also mentioned that he uses an eraser as part of his process towards the end. Yeah.
You make it lighter, and you can get the little details, the little lines, different things.
That is so very intricate and very detailed work. That is remarkable. And I see that you're wearing a piece. Did you make this as well?
Yes. This is Black Mother of Pearl, Gorget, and it is the Black Mother of Pearl. This is the last big shell I could find, and it was about this big. And when I get them, they're covered with this bark, just black stuff, and barnacles, different kinds of things. And so I have to grind all that stuff off. And this is what is underneath all that.
Wow.
And the inside of the shell looks like metal. It's really shiny. And it's not as dirty as the outside. So lots of times I'll carve on the inside, but this time I decided to use this outside. And I grind all that stuff off, then I cut it out the shape I want. I polish it, and then I carve it. And with this one, I have some serpentine designs. They're curvy lines, and I used cross hatching in the background just to set it off a little bit more.
Nice.
And it's on both sides here. And in the middle, I have two raccoons floating. There's one behind the other, kind of circular, like they're floating on top of the water. And
very playful.
That's our clan, is raccoon. It was our mother's clan.
Wow.
And so, and our daddy's a bear. But
that's so special.
This one also, I used dark umber and black to the color for the lines. But I had trouble thinking of a name, so I showed all my sisters and nieces pictures, and they said, first one came up with love. And so that's what I titled it, Mvskoke, love.
As we wrap up our conversation, a few more questions about your legacy and your Fife family legacy. Looking ahead, one, as a Muscogee woman who is using traditional Southeastern art forms and techniques and blending them with today's movements and feels and expressions, what would you like to leave an impression on other Muscogee women who may be interested or curious about getting into finger weaving or shell carving? What would you say to them?
Well, I would say do it. A lot of the traditional dancers want a certain kind of sash, or some people just like what it looks like. And the sashes I make for contemporary use too, not just ceremonials, because right now the people have gotten away from the finger weaving, and they do more use sashes made on a loom because they're easier to work with. Easier to get. And but the finger weaving has more designs, and they're all diagonal designs. If you notice, they all have diagonal lines because of the way they use the warp as the weft. You don't add more yarns to it unless you want to make it wider. But I think that women can, if you notice, they're getting into more things. But if they wanted to do the shell carving, all you got to do is you can find someone to teach you, usually, or find out how to do something. And but these young girls, they know that they can do all kinds of things.
And speaking of your family and your own generational legacy with your grandchildren and even their children, what would you say to them? And in terms of any advice, you've grown up in such a creative environment, and it's so inspiring for anyone to hear and would love to live in that type of world. What does that mean to you, and what would you like to impart to your grandchildren?
Well, that they remember where they came from, and that they are Muskogee Creek, and they have a background, and they have ancestors. They came from, Mama said her people came from between the Coosa and Tallapoosa River. And so some of us have gone back to the mounds and to Georgia and Alabama and been to some of the Tukabachi tribal towns, that area, and Hickory Ground, and just don't forget who your ancestors are, because you know, like both our children's grandparents were, or granddads were full-blood Creek, and my mother was like 5/8, and so was Al's. They were about the same. So I think they like to learn about their culture and do things. And I've had these girls since they were babies, like 1 year old, enter some of the contests, art contests.
Aww.
And we've had several, I mean, they won awards.
Wow.
In some of the shows, even when they were babies. I'm still learning too, because like today I was asking some of the, I say elders, I'm an elder myself, but some of the leaders, they'll tell you different things. You know, they'll teach you whatever you need to know. You just ask them. And I've got to do a lot of things with my art. I've traveled to Haystack Mountain School of Art in Deer Isle, Maine. And while I was there, I did some beading, taught a group of ladies beadwork. And I just went over a lot of the different techniques. And one of the techniques is the peyote stitch, that round stitch. And one of my students was, I found out later, she'd already had several degrees in art and been all over the world studying art. But Joyce Scott, who's a renowned artist, beadwork person from Baltimore. And she's, you know, she gives me credit for teaching her the peyote stitch, which has helped her do a lot of sculpture, different kinds of beadwork. But and some of my students have art teachers. One of them is a jewelry instructor. Brian Fleetwood is a jewelry instructor in Santa Fe at IAIA, and another student works out there. And there's, you know, a lot of the students just have natural talent, and I'm just happy that they've gone on or are still painting or drawing or encouraging their students, their children, to do some work. But I've enjoyed all of this, and I've done a lot of different mediums, and I could do more if I had time.
I'm sure you would.
I love figure drawing and
how fun.
Different things, sewing, and, you know, when we had the Fife Collection, we did fashions using Seminole patchwork or the Southeastern designs, and working with family. We've never had any problems.
That's remarkable.
It is remarkable. We all love each other, and
Aww.
we all love each other and love each other's kids and everybody else.
Yeah.
But lots of times, like we're like, I do weaving and sometimes baskets and shell carving. Another one do painting, different styles of painting, different beadwork, different, you know. A niece designed handbags, and just, you know, we spread out all over.
Wow.
And it's not just, because art isn't just drawing. That's what a lot of people think still.
Right, it's so much more than that. I'll move us on to ask, do you want to ask your grandma a question?
When did you start doing shell carving?
And I started doing shell carving in 2007, and I enjoy it so much. There's a lot goes into it because shell carving, the dust is toxic, so you have to wear a mask and have good ventilation. I know Dan Townsend was a teacher, and he said that one time he just got really sick, and it was because he was working in an enclosed space and didn't have a mask on. But anything you work with dust is like that, but shell carving is, the shells are toxic. But she did some, my granddaughter Adeline, she did some earrings.
Oh, wow.
One time. She
Wow.
came out to the shop, and she, I had some shells cut. Did you drill the holes in them? I don't remember. I think she might have drilled holes in them. And she designed them, you know. She said, I want to put this pearl here and this bead here. And she went on and made several pair of earrings.
Definitely runs in the family, all the natural creativity and the talent. I'll let one more of your grandchild ask a question.
How long does it take to make a scarf?
A scarf. Okay, these finger woven sashes, my granddaughters like to call them scarves because they wear them around their necks like scarves. And I can make one, like I made some with arrowheads like this, about this same size. And they were like 30 inches long.
Wow.
Of woven. And I could do maybe this much in an hour, 6 inches in an hour, so about 5 hours.
Well, thank you so much for sharing a part of your own history and story. And as a living legacy, it is so remarkable to hear of the impact. And I know that we could go on and on to talk about the impact that you've had on your students and the rest of your people and your community and your family. So such an honor to be here with you and listen to your story and sharing your work with us. Do you have any last parting thoughts for us before we wrap up?
Just be creative and design things, whatever you want. You can do almost anything. I mean, just because it hadn't been done before doesn't mean it can't.
Absolutely inspiring. I am sure our listeners will be all the more intrigued too. And really quickly, how can our listeners find you or contact you if they want to learn more or purchase a piece from you? Where can they find you online?
My Instagram and Facebook are both Sandy Fife-Wilson. And email sandywilson85@yahoo.com.
Oh, well, thank you so much for your time, Sandy. Thank you for sharing. It really is special. And yeah, we look forward to all the rest of the stories that your family will continue to live on and pass on as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you again for listening and joining our conversation here at the 5th Annual Msvskoke Art Market. You can find Artisans of Nations online and on Instagram. You can listen to our podcasts on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple channels at Artisans of Nations. It's been such an honor to be a part of this weekend. Thank you again to our listeners. Thank you to Muscogee Nation. And thank you to the artists who have shared their stories, their wisdom, and art with us.